So the last time I did one of these videos, it was really kind of a test video, and you know the audio wasn't really that great, and the same was the video, and it was really just a test thing. But I decided to upload it to YouTube anyway. And, you know, this is kind of a new series I'm making called "The Road to My PPL," and really it's just gonna kind of illustrate the road to my private pilot's license. And my instructor's awesome, and he will let me bring the cameras on as long as they're not distracting. Now, I can't say today was even really the best day to fly. There was just a storm that was hit. There was Hurricane Hermine that was just about to hit as well, and it passed us. Thank God. It was hitting kind of near Boston, and the wind and the taff for that day was pretty nasty. We were getting up to about 030 out 17, gusting 34. Now, of course, I was smart enough to book this early in the morning. So that was good, but the turns around a point in the video it really can illustrate the wind and how you may need a ton of bank or just a little bit of bank to get the turn that you need. Anyway, really hope you guys enjoy this video. Start out short of runway 8, ready for VFR departure, and you guys can hear my call. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Denbury Tower, Cessna 474 Echo Papa, short of runway 8, ready for VFR departure to the northeast.
And Cessna 4 Echo Papa, runway 8, wind 030 at 5, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 8, Cessna 4 Echo Papa.
Alright, we'll go all the way to the end.
Alright.
Okay, smoothly advance the power.
1,000, 2,000.
Stay in the right rudder because we're going to veer to the left.
There's full power, there's 40 knots.
Gauges are green, airspeed's coming alive. We have 50.
There's
55, you can go ahead and rotate.
And we're in the air.
Alright, so we're going to climb out at 74 knots. That's best rate of climb. Gets us to our altitude in shortest period of time. You got other checklists in here, so why don't you take that. There's a climb checklist,
climb,
there's a cruise
70,
checklist.
75, mixture, set, instruments, taxi and landing light off.
And let's keep climbing here. We got a hill in front of us. Climb up to 1200 and then we'll turn left northeast.
There's 80 knots, keep it at 76-ish.
74 is best rate.
Okay, 74. Alright, hit that left turn to the northeast. Actually, sorry, yeah, left turn to the northeast.
And watch your fly heading is 050.
Alright.
And you can climb up to 3,500. So you took care of your climb checklist.
Climb checklist, power is set, mixture is set full, instruments are checked, taxi landing light off, flight plan open. But we're not even on IFR flight plan.
Nope. You can turn to the, you can also do a VFR flight plan too, right?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So watch you turn right to 050, right? We veered off course here, we're at 010. Got a pretty good wind from the northeast today with that storm out there, so.
Yeah.
So if you want to fly 050 heading, you might have to hold like 060, 065.
It's take a crab, yeah. You said 3,500?
Yep, we're going to 3,500. Alright, so transition to your level off, right? You got to do that if you climb at 500 feet a minute. You got to do that 10% of what your climb rate is, so 50 feet before your altitude. Alright, we have another checklist, right? I think we have a cruise checklist, so let's see what that says. Now remember, trim after you got the airplane configured. First you want to get your proper power setting. Well, let's not worry about the mixture at 3,500. So get your power to cruise power.
Alright, so cruise power.
About 25, 2,400. So level off first, adjust your cruise, and then your cruise power setting, and then go ahead and adjust your trim or configure the airplane for the right trim.
There's about 2,400.
Yeah, that's fine. And now you would trim off any excess control pressures that you have.
Yeah, I remember last time I was, you know, very, I was rough with the controls during slow fight.
Use a lot of rudder to kind of maintain control here, but this is slow flight. Every little movement is going to
so I was like,
move the airplane here.
Going like that.
So I need a little bit of power because it's not holding the altitude here. Right around here is good.
We're on a tiny descent.
Denbury Tower, runway 8, wind 070 at 5, clear for takeoff.
Now you're just looking to maintain this current heading for a little bit here.
Very small. Yeah, I see now. Very, very small.
And I want you to try turning to the right.
What heading?
Look at our ground speed, 28 knots. We're almost going 0 miles an hour. Crazy, right? Because of the strong headwinds we got out there. Got like almost a 30, like a 25 knot headwind. All right, so give me, why don't you give me a 90-degree turn to the right to heading 150. Wow, I love it. We're almost standing still. 23 knots. The right rudder. See how the ball's outside the box there, right? Keep the turn coordinated. Don't descend. We descend down to 3,300. Go. Ball right rudder. Really got to kick in the right rudder. And it's minimum bank angle, no more than like 10 degrees. Should be targeting right around 50 knots here, right? So a little bit more power. Maybe not 100 RPM. Now you got 50. The airplane's not climbing or descending. We've kind of stabilized things. Give me a turn, 90-degree turn to the left. Turn to heading 060. Watch your airspeed, right? No more than 10-degree bank angles. And adjust your pitch, right? We're still showing a little bit of a climb. Ready, try another one to the right. Remember, use the heading bug anytime you're changing headings. We're going to turn right to 150. No more than 10 degrees of bank. Maintain that 50 knots of airspeed or minimum controllable airspeed. And the right rudder. See how that ball's outside the box? You're not in a coordinated. There you go. A lot of right rudder at these slower airspeeds.
Yeah.
No more. Really got to kick it in there. All right, so we'll, why don't we transition to an approach to landing stall, right? So I have the airplane.
Your airplane.
So our normal approach is 65 knots, full flaps is the configuration, right? And 65 knots of airspeed. So we're going to start a descent down 65 knots. Actually, let me turn to a north here. Get blown into Oxford's airspace.
I'm guessing at some point we're gonna like maybe go from like Danbury to Oxford or something.
Yeah, but this is only our second flight. I mean,
you gotta
get the controls straight and how the airplane handles and all different types of configurations first before we go to other airports.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to start a descent as soon as I hit 65 knots. I mean, these are the maneuvers that you're going to be required to do on your check ride. So 65 knots, power comes all the way to idle. As soon as the airplane stalls, which is the indication is going to be first the warning horn, the buffet, the nose is going to drop. We go full power, flaps up, 1 notch only first. There's my buffet, there's the stall. Full power, first notch of flaps. Let the airplane begin to accelerate. Make sure we have a positive rate of climb. Right, so our vertical speed is showing positive rate, so is our altimeter. We go the next notch of flaps. And then finally we still have positive rate, airspeed still increasing, and our altimeter shows a positive rate as well. There's the last notch of flaps. We go back to cruise. Bring the power back to about 2,500, and then we just trim off any of the control pressures that we had in for the nose up trim. And that's it. That's your whole slow flight transition to a power off stall maneuver.
Charlie, would you
look at your rudder. Really kick that rudder in. See how it gets the plane turning.
Yeah, you turn so much faster.
Yep. Ailerons are not that effective in slow flight. You don't have airflow going over them. So you got to use that rudder pedal to get you swinging in that direction.
Yeah.
Circle to the north.
All right. Why don't we do why don't you transition to a power off or an approach to landing stall. So first we want to lower the nose, attain 65 knots, which is our approach to landing speed. So just lower the nose here.
80 Charlie, Roger, report the missed approach and proceed direct handle.
Okay, we're not going to do the publishes, we're just going to make the left turn out to the west.
Okay, there's 65 knots, the power goes to idle.
I'm sorry, Leo will call you the final approach at that, a localizer rate.
I was all the way to idle.
You're just going to do about 1 mile to the southwest, or do you want to fly overhead?
Now you got to maintain that pitch, otherwise we never stall the airplane, right? So you got to pitch up here. And you got to use right rudder.
Yes, sir, Charlie, I have no other traffic in
Keep
the
the stall coordinated, or plane coordinated. There's the buffet, there's nose drop, full power, first notch of flaps immediately. First notch only.
And 8.
There's first notch.
Section G line.
Okay. Now you don't want to pull too much back pressure and stall the airplane again, and you try to reduce the amount of descent as much as possible. So nose is maybe about the first line above the horizon. Positive rate on both. Airspeed's increasing. You can go next notch of flaps. And remember, there's 3 notches. You got the 30, 20, and 10. So
Yeah.
we went from.
So now I'm at 0.
Yeah, now you're at 0. But we basically went up 2 notches of flaps or 20 degrees. Now you always enter this maneuver from the downwind or the wind at your back. So what direction do you think the winds are coming from?
Say north, because
Yeah, it's more. Just take a look at how the airplane's drifting. Where do you think it's? Where do you think it's coming from?
And 8. Charlie, turn off to the west.
In that direction, right? We're sort of drifting off this way.
yeah.
Let's be a little more aggressive on the descent. You can probably power back some more, because we got to lose a bunch more altitude here. And you can make a 360-degree turn. Tell you what, turn, instead of making a 360, turn to the right now. It'll get us better situated. Turn right to a heading of 210 degrees. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to set you up so that, you enter this maneuver with the wind at your back. Bring the power back a little bit more. And normally this is done at or below maneuvering speed. Perfect. Alright, there's 1500. Let's level off here. I have the airplane.
Your airplane.
The maneuvering speed in this airplane is 105 knots. Anytime we're making abrupt control movements, and like a maneuver like this where we can go up to 45 degrees of bank angle, we want to make sure we're below that speed, which is 105 knots. So we'll start it here at about between 95 and 100. And 2,000 RPM. So I got the wind at my back here, right? I'm entering it from the downwind. And I'm going to try and maintain a constant radius around that red tower there without losing any altitude. There should be no power adjustments. I really got to apply a lot of bank angle here, otherwise it's going to blow me off course. Yeah, I'm trying to maintain a constant distance around that tower. I'm going more to a crosswind, right? So it doesn't require as much bank angle.
Yeah.
When I initially went into the maneuver. Now I got pretty much a steady headwind, so there's really... See how my bank angle is virtually nothing at this point?
Yeah.
That's because the wind's blowing straight in front of me, right? So it's slowing the airplane down. I don't need as much bank angle to continue keeping the same distance from that tower. If I put any bank angle in, it's going to kind of push me towards it, right? So I've got to sort of keep the airplane flying straight. Now I'm sort of getting a push, right? The wind's starting to come at me from my backside. So if I don't put in more bank angle, I wind up kind of getting blown off in that direction.
So the portion of this video is actually kind of long, so I really just decide to cut this out and kind of go back into the approach into Danbury. We really enter a midfield left downwind for runway 8 and cut it in. You can hear my call right about now.
Danbury Tower, Cessna 474 Echo Papa, 9 miles to the northeast, inbound landing with Yankee.
Cessna 404 Echo Papa, ident.
Ident, Cessna 4 Echo Papa.
let's maintain 2500.
I think I pressed the button, right?
Maintain 2500. He's going to set us up for left downwind for runway 8 here, so we don't want to cross over to the other side. So let's turn to a heading of 260.
4 Echo Papa, enter the left downwind for runway 8, report midfield.
Left downwind runway 8, report midfield, Cessna 4 Echo Papa.
Alright, get yourself turning here. We're drifting right into the center line of the runway. He wants us to enter a left downwind. And we're going to start our descent, right? Let's get down to traffic pattern altitude. What's the traffic pattern altitude?
Here it's 1,700.
Yep, so let's start descent. You have a couple of checklists, right? Descent checklist.
Alright, descent checklist here. Here, climb, cruise, descent. Mixture, rich in fuel selectors on both ATIS AWAS has got altimeter set. Nav GPS switch set, instrument set, heading indicator to compass is set.
Is it set? When does the heading need, when is the mag compass read accurate?
Yeah.
Straight and level unaccelerated flight, right? So we got to wait till we level off at 1700 before we adjust that.
Oh, okay.
All right. So take me over. You see the mall over there? Just to the outside of the mall.
Yeah.
We're flying to downwind for runway 8.
Runway 8.
And look at your speed here, right? When the LOR, don't worry about the camera, worry about the airplane first.
3 Charlie, Quebec traffic on entering the left downwind for runway 8 is a Cessna, currently 4 miles to the northeast. And Cessna 4 Echo Papa, the traffic departing runway 8 is Keen Air.
4 Echo Papa, we'll keep an eye out for him. 1700, what do you got to do here? Descending 1,000 feet a minute, right? Start your level off 10% of what your descent rate is. Alright, so your power setting in the downwind, it's probably going to be about 1900 to 2000 RPM. We're shooting for 85 knots. What's your altitude doing?
A little bit low.
Yep. Make the adjustment. You got plenty of power here, so bring your power back to 19, right? You just needed to make a little adjustment on the pitch to get you up about 100 feet. Now we're just holding it. What's going to hold you at your altitude, right? If you have the airplane configured with pitch and power, your trim. There you go. All right, so we'll set this to runway heading, the heading bug. Now let's fly heading at 270. Remember, we got a wind blowing us from the northeast, so which is this direction. If we continue on a straight ground track or heading at 260, it's probably going to push us further in towards the runway, so we have to hold a right wind correction angle.
Tower 13660, holding short, runway 8, there'll be a left turn out to the north.
And once we get to the tower, you can call Cessna 4
660, runway 8.
Cessna 4 Papa's midfield left downwind, runway 8.
13660.
Cessna 4 Echo Papa midfield left downwind runway 8.
All right, we're at the numbers, right? Flaps 10 degrees, below and 10.
Cessna 474 Echo Papa, traffic departing runway 8.
Don't worry about the call. Fly the airplane.
Clear to land.
Clear to land, we'll keep an eye out for the traffic, Cessna 4 Echo Papa.
Flaps 10 degrees. Power back to 1500. Power to 15.
Power?
Power to 1500. Nose down, trim. Remember, the airplane wants the balloon as soon as you bring in the flaps.
Yep.
We're at the 45-degree angle, right? We start our turn to the base leg. We're going to keep 1500 RPM in here, about a 500 foot per minute descent rate, descending through our turn to base. Roll out wings level on base. Next 10 degrees of flaps, go 20 degrees of flaps. All right, keep the descent rate going. You can bring your power back a little bit more with 85, so a little bit fast here. Go. All right, we're going to turn a little bit early to correct for the winds, right? So that's probably going to push us right on the center line of the runway. And remember, you can always trim on final as well. Ease up, it'll help you ease up of controls. All right, so we get a decent amount of right crosswind, it looks like.
Crabbing a little bit.
Yep, we are crabbing. So we're going to do a crosswind landing, which means left aileron and opposite rudder to maintain the center line. We'll just hold a little bit of extra power in here on through final.
Cessna 4 Echo Papa vacating right at Charlie 3, going back to executive.
4 Echo Papa, roger. Taxi to line via Charlie, remains route.
Charlie will remain with you, Cessna 4 Echo Papa.
Alright, so shut down the airplane, strobes come off, right? Avionics master switch, you can turn that off.
You can see in a situation like this on landing, it's very important to have a sterile cockpit, and when you don't, you can get distracted. You know, in this flight, I was very distracted by the cameras. My instructor actually said something to me. The cameras are something you should never be distracted about. And the one thing I've really learned is if you are distracted from the cameras, just don't bring them. Leave them. They mess up. Leave them. You just don't worry about them. Other than that, it was a great flight, and I really enjoyed it.